For a very long time, cars used direct switching. You hit a switch and something turns on. This works really well for very simple cars. Then cars started using relay switching, which places a relay between the switch and the device. Now this seems more complicated, but is it really? This is why we're going to explore why relays exist at all. Are they just making things unnecessarily complex? Let's find out. On an old vehicle, the path for something is very simple. Battery to a fuse, fuse to a switch, switch to the load. The only problem with this method is bringing high current into the cabin and then back out of the cabin to the load, wherever it exists. The next thing that starts to happen is you start adding a lot of large wires coming into the cabin and exiting again. At this point, it starts adding up to real money. And worse than that, depending on the load, the switch may need to be very expensive as well. As you've probably guessed, as cars got more and more complex, more things were added to the car, which just made the problem even worse. And this of course keeps driving cost up, not only in copper, but in the switches and the way they're made to be able to handle the current. So relays solve this dilemma by moving the switches to remote locations, so to speak. A lot of people describe a relay as a remote switch, and it's kind of correct, but probably better described as a device for switching loads remotely. Initially, what was done is the relays were moved closer to the loads, so all that large wiring never entered the cabin anymore. And the small wires could be run from the cabin to control the relay. At first this just seems more complicated, but then once you understand that the wire size that controls the relay can be as thin as a human hair, you start to understand why moving all those heavy pieces, so to speak, outside makes more sense. And the savings keep going because that heavy wire that used to bring the current all the way inside the car and then back out again, even that can be smaller. So as you can tell, a relay is not just a remote switch. There's a lot more going on here as far as architecture and money are concerned. Let's take a very simple example. Cars used to be like this. There was power from the battery to the ignition switch. The ignition switch would provide power to the starter solenoid, and that would crank the engine over. Now this is the simplest way possible, but no modern car does anything like this at all. Here's the next step in the exact same circuit for starting the engine. Battery to switch, switch to relay, relay to solenoid, and that cranks the engine. Now at this point you're thinking, isn't that just the same thing with an extra step? Well yeah, kind of, except for now we've added a lot of control. The first layer of control that comes with something like this, in the case of a manual transmission, is a clutch switch. So if the clutch switch isn't closed, that relay will never work and the engine will not start. Add to this the capability of security for the vehicle. Now the car is harder to steal. Further along those lines, if the car is not in park or neutral, the car will not start. So now you may be thinking like, that tiny relay does all that stuff? No. That tiny relay is controlled by a bunch of small control wires that are dictating all the logic of whether the engine is allowed to start or not. And this is an approximation of how cars are now. Battery to start switch, to BCM, to relay, to starter. And if you thought it was complicated before, the level of sophistication that this can bring is mind-boggling. Just the things alone that the BCM does before it even allows the starter relay to run the starter is a whole nother video all by itself. So one of the things that a relay can do is help control logically what is and isn't allowed and when and where. So early fuse boxes just have a handful of relays and fuses, and then they added more. And guess what? Then they added more. and it just kept going and going. And nowadays, many electrical and mechanical relays are replaced by solid-state relays. A solid-state relay has no moving parts, and this is just an approximation picture of one. This is not what they all look like. And what you have now is control modules with a bunch of solid-state relays inside of them, instead of relays that are in fuse boxes. So relays are still there, they just look completely different. And I should be clear here, both kinds still exist in modern cars. There's the ones that are built into control modules, and there are the electromechanical ones that are in fuse boxes still. And modern cars are comprised of many modules for lots of different reasons. Earlier cars like this were pretty basic still. Had an engine computer, a transmission computer, a computer maybe controlled all the lighting, one for the power windows, etc. But almost all vehicles nowadays have 20 or more control modules. So imagine how many solid-state relays there are, not to mention there's still the old school relays all throughout the car. The amount of control inside of a vehicle nowadays, like I said before, is absolutely mind-blowing. This level of sophistication all started because relays made this possible. And this kind of turned into a whole bunch of modules that contained a whole bunch of relays, which also control a bunch of exterior relays. So, as you can tell, relays are alive and well in modern vehicles, even though some of them have changed form. So to sum it all up, why do relays exist again? Relays exist to control loads remotely from the switches commanding them, or modules commanding them, more appropriately nowadays. The second thing that relays exist for is for logical switching, or allowing or disallowing certain devices or conditions. So hopefully this video has made it less confusing and not more confusing as to why relays exist. But if you have any questions, leave it in the comments below. And as always, don't forget to like and subscribe. We'll see you on the next one.